Hello, Canada and hockey fans in the United States. That sounds very Foster Hewitt-ish of us, but welcome to our annual World Juniors Hockey Preview Special here on the Rod Pedersen Show on the Game Plus Television Network, and of course, streaming live on YouTube as well. It's an eclectic group that's going to join you over the next couple of hours here as we bring in the Moose, Darren Dupont. We've got a true continental look at this tournament coming up, Darren, in Northern Alberta, Red Deer and Edmonton coming up beginning Boxing Day. And of course, we're through the pre-tournament games. We're through, obviously, the training camp. We're both wearing red. You, of course, in someone's kitchen. I assume it's your own. Me here in South Florida, where you'd be surprised how much hockey talk there actually is leading into these World Juniors, and we can talk about that. But hey, do you kind of get a sense of a rematch almost, don't you? Canada losing to the United States of America 2-0 in the gold medal game last year. We've got a lot of time here on this program today to tee up this tournament. I don't know where your excitement level is this year compared to last. It's always, I know you're one of the biggest World Juniors fans. I know. Maybe it's just the same as last year. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really exciting, Rod, and happy holidays to everybody, and happy World Juniors as we get set, for the weekend and to get started. But you know what? I'm going to be parked, on the couch. I'll be watching the games. I'm excited. I really am. We've been following it on the show a little bit, and obviously more in depth today. Days like today and shows like today are going to get me even more excited, right? When we talk to, the people we're going to talk to, they're going to get us fired up. We're going to talk to people from Team Canada, and that's all going to be really great. But and then there's the interest because we've been watching Conor Bernard and now he's made the team. So I'm really excited about that. We watched Conor and Shane Wright play together last winter. That was cool in the under 18. So there's a lot of things that are drawing me interested this year.
Yeah, no kidding. And coming up on the program today, a couple of stalwarts of our World Junior preview coverage. Julie Robenhymer joins us from Elite Prospects. She covers Team USA in all international competition. I had originally met her in 2012 World Juniors, ironically, in Edmonton when I was calling Canada's games. She was covering the USA then, and she still is. And there are very few people in America as dialed into USA hockey than Julie. So we're looking forward to that chat. And, of course, Peter Loubardias, a man who needs absolutely no introduction in this country as a Team Canada expert. But he knows all the teams. And also some guests from Team Canada, just like last year. Most notable, I think, the general manager. I like to call him the general manager of Hockey Canada, Alan Millar. I think his full title is Director of Player Personnel for Hockey Canada. Alan will talk about the roster makeup. He will talk about Conor Bedard, the goaltending situation, the coaching situation, and all the rest of it. But I don't know. Like I said, this feels very much like a rematch of last year, but it's not entirely the same. No two World Juniors tournaments are the same. But we have a look at the pool, do we not, Darren? Pool A, which Canada resides. I'll hand it over to you and our graphics boys back in the bunker in the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. Let's take a look at who Canada's going to be facing here in the pre-tournament, or I guess you would say the round-robin games as they line up first against the Czechs.
Yeah, they'll have, Germany, Slovakia, Switzerland, and Finland all in Group A. Obviously, it changes year to year. And so because Canada and the U.S. met in the final, they're in different pools. So they're not going to meet on the New Year's Eve game as we're used to. That's not going to happen. So you end up with Canada on one side and Finland on the other, USA on the other, and that draws Finland into Canada's pool. That'll be the toughest part. Canada probably has an easier road towards the medal round in Pool A. It's probably the weaker of the two pools going in.
Well, I can't wait to get to the Conor Bedard discussion with Alan Millar. I'm going to pause that for now here in the opening segment, the warm-up of our World Juniors preview special, because I know the guys have the Canada roster. If we can put it up on the screen, I think you and I, Darren, can go through it. Good work, guys. I mean, there's some names there that we know, and there's some names there that we don't know. I mean, Conor Bedard, interestingly enough, on the left wing of the top line. Do you think these are the actual top lines, or is this...
Well, if you look at it, no,
this is alphabetical order. This is alphabetical order.
That's right. So we don't know. We've seen them moved up and down a lot. I've seen a lot of Cole Perfetti paired with Shane Wright throughout camp. But when we get started, we really don't know. You've talked a lot about Ridley Gregg and how big he's going to be down that right side. Justin Sordiff, the Vancouver Giant, he's big down that right side too. A couple of young players. Logan Stankoven gets an opportunity on this group. Dylan Genther, Edmonton Oil King, who's played pretty well. We know the Western guys, obviously, very familiar with that. We know Lou will be, a little bit more dialed into players all across the country. You and I know all the Western guys very, very well. But Bedard, I think, much like when he was in camp, will force his way up the lineup and to have more ice time. He really will. And then the back end. Owen Power just is huge on that back end. But another Western guy, Caden Gooley, gets an opportunity. He's now with the Edmonton Oil Kings after being traded from the Prince Albert Raiders. He has an opportunity to anchor that back end with Owen Power.
Number 1 overall pick in the NHL draft last year, Owen Power of the Buffalo Sabres, who ended up going back to Michigan. And, I look at this roster, and it's always good. These are the best hockey players that Canada has put together. The interesting thing about this year's team compared to last is the 56 games of pro experience, led by, I would suggest, Cole Perfetti. And they're the first-round pick of the Winnipeg Jets, who's had a lot of time in the American Hockey League with the Manitoba Moose. Do you think the pro games and the pro experience, and that doesn't include preseason games because they've all got NHL preseason experience, save for Conor Bernard. You look at Ridley Gregg there, who is going to star for the Ottawa Senators in the years in advance. Do you think the pro games will have much of a factor in this tournament? It can't hurt, right?
Yeah, it can't hurt. I think it will for confidence. Mason McTavish had his opportunity in the NHL too to start the year. A number of these guys have played their 8 or 9 games that they're allowed to play the 9 games in the National Hockey League. So I think it brings confidence when you enter that locker room and you're going to play. Even when you go back to junior and play with your Canadian Hockey League team, or you go back to to play with your junior teams, you have that confidence. Like, I was in a pro locker room. I've been sitting around pro players. I know what this is all about. I've been next to Ryan Getzlaf. I've been with Brady Tkachuk. I've been in that Winnipeg Jets locker room, if you're Cole Perfetti. So you feel a little bit more like a senior. And when you feel more like a senior in a locker room full of juniors, you have more confidence and you put that expectation on yourself to play a little bit better. So, yeah, I do. I think it matters. I think it matters mentally, but all these players are capable. As we know, Shane Wright, Conor Bernard, they can play with anybody. They could probably walk into a pro locker room and play today.
Yeah, and in the goaltending situation, we're going to be talking with our guests about that coming up. Brett Brochu, Sebastian Cossa, and Dylan Garand. Dylan has experience having been with Canada before. Brett Brochu was cut coming out of camp last year, and Sebastian Cossa, 6'7", first-round pick of the Detroit Red Wings. We called his games against the Regina Pats. You've got an NHL caliber goaltender between the pipes, which frankly is a lot different from last year. Devin Levi, not that he was an NHL caliber, he is, but he came from junior A and then college. Decidedly different route than Sebastian Cossa. How much do you think of an advantage it'll be for Cossa playing in his own barn in Rogers Place? Again, can't hurt, right?
Yeah. Can't hurt at all. Have that familiarity. It won't be spending the same amount of time as the other kids looking around, seeing how big this building is and looking at the banners and all those different things. So it'll be some advantage. I don't think a big one, but it'll be nice for him to be familiar for sure.
Well, like I say, we'll save the Bedard talk for a little later on in the program because I could go on for 2 hours on it. And we will be bringing it up with the director of player personnel, Alan Millar, when he joins us. But, one thing, you look at last year's team, because we watched every shift of every game. Do you remember, Darren? I'll take you back to Rogers Place in the bubble, where they never trailed in a game all round robin, then the playoffs, and then they got into the gold medal game and fell down 2-0 to the Americans early on in the second period. If you remember, the very next morning, we had Biznasty on, Paul Bissonnette, Arizona Coyotes broadcaster, NHL alum, and he said when the Americans went up 2-0, he knew it was over. And it was because of the way Canada was playing at the time, and that Canada had never trailed at any point in the tournament. So I look at, we can sit and talk about goaltending all day long if we want. We could talk about it for 2 weeks in the World Juniors, but unless Devin Levi could go down the ice and score goals, it wouldn't have mattered. He allowed 2 in the gold medal game. They didn't score any. And I'm just wondering what the makeup is that's different this year from last. And we'll get that story from Alan Millar. But is that, You see what I'm saying here? I mean, we can't have the exact same roster as last year, I don't think, and expect to win.
No, and it's not culture, because Canada's got a great culture and a winning culture, and there's that expectation all the time, Rod. But Dave Cameron will add a lot to this, right? How does Dave Cameron prepare these players for adversity? Because Canada rolls in, and you look at that pool in Pool A that they have to deal with, and it's a little bit of a softer pool. Finland obviously is the big challenge, but if you go through that pool without taking it, dealing with any adversity, what happens when you play in America or you play Russia or you play Sweden and you end up with that trouble? Dave Cameron has to have this group ready to go. I think they've got some players. Perfetti's one. But you even look at the young players. We talk a lot about Conor Bernard, but look what he did against Russia, right, in that under-18. When he missed, came back down and scored. When they went down, they came back and got up. So Shane Wright's another guy leading the way. Ridley Gregg. You look at Gooley. You look at Owen Power. They have to lean on those leaders that when you do deal with adversity, because when you give up 2 goals in a gold medal game, you should expect to win that game.
Yeah, well, it's a very, very good roster, and I think it's the best roster in the tournament, but we thought it was a very, very good roster last year, and it was. I remember being on the air throughout the tournament saying, this is the greatest World Junior team ever, save for maybe 2005. We have put that to bed, have we not? The 2005 Grand Forks team was the greatest team Canada ever. Statistically, last year's team was better, and then they get into the gold medal final and lose 2-0, and they panic a little bit because that they'd never trailed before, which coming up a little later on in the program, our World Juniors preview, which we do every year, Julie Robenhymer will be joining us from EliteProspects.com. She covers Team USA hockey. Who do you think is Canada's biggest threat in this tournament, Darren?
It's the U.S. It's the U.S. Maybe not the same U.S. team that was there last year, but I think you have to say it's the U.S. simply because of the defending gold medal champs. I think that other pool is stacked and loaded. I really do. You start with the U.S. They get Beniers back. He'll probably be one of the offensive leaders for that group. Russia is always good, too, and they're going to have players we've never heard of that are going to star. I know they're missing a key player or two because of the COVID protocol. And you always have to worry about Sweden because their role through the round robin and being so good in this tournament year after year after year after year. It's unprecedented how good they've been. They've been better than everybody else, including Canada. They just can't get it done in the medal round. So you always have to consider them as a threat also, but it's probably the U.S. followed by Russia in my mind.
Well, I'll tell you what, we went through almost 3 years of COVID. Unbelievable. But I'm trying to remember. I've said many times, I don't care whether there's crowds or not because I'm just interested in what's going on the ice or on the turf or on the grass. They didn't have crowds at the World Juniors last year. They couldn't have, did they?
No, that's right. You're right. No crowds.
How much of a factor do you think it'll be this year having a crowd in Edmonton and Red Deer?
Well, that's Edmonton getting their World Juniors back, right? They went in there because of the bubble and that they had the National Hockey League, and now they get to have their World Juniors with a crowd. I think it's going to be phenomenal. The atmosphere is going to be great. It's going to be crazy, even in Red Deer, too. I know Canada will play their games in Edmonton, but, I mean, it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. The building's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be sold out or not, but it's going to be loud.
Back to normal. All right, who do we got coming up next, guys? Okay, a very special guest joining us after this break. It is our World Junior preview special. We do it every year, and we'll be right back with a very special guest panelist. You're watching the RP Show on the Game Plus TV network, YouTube Live, and, of course, live streaming audio at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
In the heat of of the summer, familiar sounds, feel in the air. It's the best thing anywhere. Just give me back my game. 'Cause I live for the drama, I live for the emotion. No one can take me down. Bring me back my football.
BetRegal.net, exclusive sports gaming partner of the CFL.
Addiction. It destroys relationships, families, and lives. It makes individuals and the people who love them feel powerless. But the good news is that addiction is a treatable illness. At Aurora Recovery Center, we provide everything you need to build a solid foundation for your recovery, with holistic, evidence-based treatment tailored to each individual. Located in Gimli, Manitoba, on the shores of Lake Winnipeg, Aurora can help regardless of whether or not you feel ready or have tried before. Aurora Recovery Center. Recovery for life. Visit aurorarecoverycenter.com for more information today.
A Landmark Cinemas $30 gift card with $40 in great movie savings is the perfect gift to give. Or give to yourself. Get yours today in theater or online at landmarkcinemas.com and make it a merry movie season. Landmark Cinemas, for movie lovers.
Hey Matt, how's it going? We have something really special.
Holy, it's pretty impressive.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back to our World Junior special here on Game Plus Television, everybody, at the Rod Pedersen Show. 2 solid hours of World Junior talk as we get ready for the tourney in Edmonton and Red Deer. And a longtime friend of ours is Al Millar, and he's no stranger to this show, nor the Hockey Canada program. The Director of Player Personnel joins us from the Banff Springs Hotel, where the club is getting ready for the World Junior Tournament, which starts on Boxing Day, of course, against the Czechs. And Al, I appreciate the time. As always, I'm sure stressful times for you through COVID and all the rest. But are things coming together as far as you're concerned to get this tournament underway a little north of where you're at here on Boxing Day?
Yeah, I think everything is coming together pretty well. I think COVID is COVID, and we know that day to day things can change, as you're seeing in the National Hockey League. But we push forward here with our preparations, really like our group. Great staff here, excited about the group of 25 players that we have with us. And we'll just keep pushing forward to get ready to compete for a world championship, Rod.
I'm going to try and go through this chronologically. So just looking back at your camp in the summertime to the Calgary camp a couple of weeks ago, how it was different, Al. There weren't as many decisions made this year as opposed to last year, especially in the goaltending in the crease. Can you explain how the difference in philosophy with the guys that you kept versus last year?
Yeah, I think when you look at where we were a year ago, nobody was really playing. The NHL, the CHL, NCAA weren't playing. So we cast a wide net, brought upwards of, I think it was 47 players into Red Deer to put together our World Junior team, because there was a selection process, but there was also a real preparation process because nobody had been playing. So this year we had a summer camp. We did it in combination with the under 18. It was very successful from our perspective. Then, we were able to get out, watch a lot of hockey, do a lot of evaluations, do a lot of calls with our staff. We felt we were real prepared coming in December. Obviously put together a much smaller camp than traditionally with only 35 players. By the time Jack Thompson dealing with COVID and Ken Johnson dealing with COVID, we were down to 33. And then we had the difficult decision on 8 players there, Rod. So, it's like anything in the last couple of years. Everything's different. You have to transition to kind of how things are going. And I think we were able to do that real well as a group through September to where we are today.
Canadians will recognize Dave Cameron behind the bench, but tell us a little bit about him, Al, because I laughed before you guys went to Banff. He was asked about the goalies, and he said, I didn't even pay attention to them in the games against the University All-Stars because they were already set. And I thought, at least you're honest. He said, I had enough decisions with the skaters. Is that the kind of guy that he is? He's like, our goalies are picked, so I didn't really watch him. Tell me about Dave Cameron.
Well, Dave's a beauty. He's a real character. I think after the first game, one of the media guys asked him about Bedard, and he said, "Well, I had him penciled in until the shootout." And I think if you saw Conor kind of flubbed it on the shootout, so that's the way Dave is. He's a very personable guy. Builds relationships with everybody, includes everybody. He's a very honest person. He has a great approach in terms of how he deals with people, how he deals with the players, how he makes sure in the right way they know what the expectations are. He did a presentation to our group earlier in the process in Banff when we first got our group together to talk about expectations, to talk about our team. It was as good as I've ever seen at this level. So with myself and James Boyd as our POE management group lead, who is Dave's GM in Ottawa, we have a long history together. And with Dave leading our coaching staff, that it was a real good process in terms of the collaboration and us being all on the same page in terms of what kind of team we wanted to have. And Dave was excellent in that process, and it was a pleasure to work with this group.
Well, you know what? It's interesting you say that, the kind of team you want to have. Could talk about this with you all day, Al, because last year in Edmonton, you didn't trail all tournament until the gold medal final, right? I think we talked about that afterwards. Ended up losing 2-0 to the USA. How much different is this year's team in style from last year?
Well, I think last year we had everybody available to us, and I think we had 26 NHL first-round picks at the camp. We ended up having 19 NHL first-round picks on our team. And not, Rod, as you know, NHL picks and that status is one thing. But I think last year's team was very skilled, top heavy in terms of that skill level, and it was a great team. And it's just, I honestly believe to this day that if we played the U.S. team in a 7-game series, we would have prevailed. But in a 1-game showdown, their goalie was outstanding, and they found a way. They found a way to beat us. But this team, I think what we've seen with this group so far is there's a workmanlike atmosphere around this team. It's there's a grittiness, there's an edge to them, there's a heaviness in their game, and I think we've been able to build that without sacrificing any talent, any skill. When you look at a Power and a Goalie on the back end, McTavish, a Ridley Gregg, a Jake Neighbors, Justin Sordiff up front, I think this is a team that's going to be able to play any way you want it. If you want to play this way, sure, we'll get at it. If you want to play it that way, we'll get at it with you. And so I really like our skill level. I really like the heaviness in our group. And I can tell you, Rod, that we've been really impressed with the speed, the competitiveness in our preparations. these guys are going all out, and I think it's going to be a real exciting team to watch, and really believe we have a chance to be very successful.
Well, I like the sound of it. And by the way, they recognized Justin Sordiff at the Florida Panthers game the other night that I was at, that he had made Team Canada. They're very closely following, as you could imagine, the Florida hockey fans, his progress. Listen, you brought up Bedard. I didn't. So he's on the team, Al. And listen, I'm a little blown away at the coverage. You're in your hotel room. You're probably watching SportsCenter. They've had entire segments just on Conor Bernard. Does that surprise you? And how do you think he'll respond to that and on the ice?
Yeah, Rod, I was very prepared, whether you brought it up or I brought it up, that we were going to talk about Conor, and we should talk about Conor. He plays in Regina. He's a key player in the WHL, and I'm always happy to talk about Conor. As you know, I think that I don't think we're surprised by the media presence or the way this has gone the last number of days. I think whenever a 16-year-old makes Canada's national junior team, and you start to talk about the Crosbys and McDavids, that there's only been 7 of them in the history and only 3 in the last 20 years. It's gonna garner a lot of attention, and I think Conor's handling it very well. I think he came into the camp with a will and determination in his game and said, hey, you guys aren't going to keep me off this team because I'm only 16 years old. And he did his thing and found his way onto the club. And so I think that, he's handling it real well. He's, as you know, he's mature beyond his age. And I think he's just one of those special athletes that the bigger the moment, being surrounded with the best players in the world, he can rise to that occasion. I think his skill set and his hockey IQ give Dave Cameron all kinds of options with our forward group. And we're excited to have him here. And, now that our team's all together, whether you're 16, 17, 18, or 19, we'll push the best group forward to help us win a world championship.
I only got 2 other questions for you, and one does pertain to Conor. I mean, I've been calling his games this year. Statistically, it's not what he was last year. As John Paddock has said, it's a different league right now than it was last year, for all the reasons that you know. There was no imports last year, and it was a younger league, and blah, blah, blah. Can you speak from a Hockey Canada perspective how the stats were never part of your evaluation of what he was doing and why he got that invite to camp?
I've said, you've probably heard me say this a few times during the process. This isn't an all-star team, and there's lots of guys across the country that are real good young players that have impressive stats that either didn't find their way to our camp or didn't find their way onto this team. We've said from the get-go that intangibles were valuable, that we were looking for players that could help us win. We weren't building a team to play on Boxing Day. We were building a team to play on January 5th in a gold medal game. We know how hard the journey is, how tough the process is once you get into quarterfinals, semifinals, medal games. When you look at the competition, obviously we analytically looked at all kinds of stats along the way, doing our due diligence on our evaluations, Rod. But, we knew where Conor's game was at. I had seen him quite a bit. He was pressing at times for offense, particularly early in the season with the Pats, as they were a little bit up and down. But, when you look past that, he was still leading the WHL on shots on goal. And if you consider the shots that he was missing high and that on certain situations, he was getting his chances. And again, it always, for me, Rod, fell back to the fact that there's only a handful of guys that can change the game with one play. And Conor can do that. And I think that's what he showed when he came into camp. Second game, he showed a real competitiveness in his game. He was tracking hard. He was winning 50-50 battles. He was whacking and hacking the U Sport guys. And give all the credit to him in the world. Our group talked a lot about him, as you can imagine, as we did a number of players. and we knew that there was a skill set there that was going to give him every opportunity to play on this team. He had to prove to our group that he was ready to play at this level as a 16-year-old, and he did that. So that's why he's here.
I'm glad to hear he's added that to his game. That'll be fun to watch. And so it's the Czechs on Boxing Day for the opener. Alan, can you speak about your pool and your competition here in Edmonton?
Yeah, I think that we face off against the Czechs right away, and they always play hard against us, and really try and shut things down. This is a tournament where you can't take anything for granted. You can't think that any games are going to be easy. I think we'll continue to build. Obviously, New Year's Eve against Finland will be a real meaningful game. How that crossover plays out in terms of the quarterfinals, particularly with Russia, the U.S., and Sweden in the other pool. So whoever finishes second in our pool is going to get a real tough quarterfinal game. So winning our pool is a priority. It's not the end of the world, but the best path that you can have to the gold medal game, and in terms of how difficult it can be, is only a benefit in the big picture. But we know we're going to have some tough games along the way. We know that we get everybody's best at this tournament, and we'll be ready for it.
Hey, they tell me that I got a couple minutes left, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about your staff. I read a story on Olivier Michaud, your goalie coach. Last year was Jason Loubardias. Of course, we had him on this show. He did a great job. Can you just talk about your coaching staff, if you don't mind? Give those guys some publicity.
Well, this is an impressive group. From the get-go, from the summer camp through the evaluation selection process, it's an impressive group of people from the Canadian Hockey League. We talked about Dave Cameron. I think Michael Dyck or Dennis Williams could be the head coach of this team and could be down the road. Louis Robitaille is a young coach from the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League who's doing an outstanding job in Gatineau, and could have a good future in the program as well. And then we bring in Olivier Michaud from Drummondville, who just preparation, planning, focus, building relationships with the goaltenders, the process to make the decision to go to three and not complicate things at camp was, driven by, a lot by Olivier and his discussions with me and James Boyd and our coaching staff. So this is an impressive group, even right down to our support staff. These national teams are able to attract the best people in the country, Rod, whether they're athletic therapists, mental performance coaches. We have, our mental performance coach is from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Our support staff is outstanding. I can't say enough about the work ethic and the people that we have here around us to help us win, and just a special group to be around.
Oh, good for you for getting the Tampa Bay's mental strength coach. Biggest reason, I think, why they are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. Alan, always a pleasure talking hockey with you. We're following very closely. Good luck. Go Canada, and I appreciate the time today.
Thanks, Rod. Really appreciate that, and always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Director of Player Personnel for Hockey Canada, Al Millar, joining us in advance of the World Juniors. This is our annual World Juniors preview, and we'll be back in a moment. You're watching on Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, and, of course, listen live at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a GM certified pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Welcome back to our World Juniors preview special, everybody, here on Game Plus Television and, of course, live on YouTube as well. And we have talked a lot about Team Canada, as we always do. But don't forget, Game Plus airs in 31 states. And joining us to talk about Team USA hockey, as she always is good enough to do, Julie Robenhymer joins us from EliteProspects.com. Hey, Julie, you're on the show. It must be that time of year again, World Juniors. And if you don't mind me saying, your Team USA goes in as the defending champions. So let me ask you, since our last chat on this show, how has your year been since last year's World Juniors in Alberta, hockey-wise?
Well, the year's been great, mostly because I've been able to start traveling again. I was at the U18 World Championships in April. Was able to do a lot in terms of summer hockey with the World Junior Summer Showcase, the USHL Fall Classic, college hockey this fall, NHL hockey this fall. So I just was in Michigan not too long ago for USA selection camp for this tournament. And I'm super excited. As you guys know, this is my favorite time of year. This tournament is the highlight for me, really just combining everything that I do, NHL interest, prospect interest, draft, especially this year, so many draft eligible players. So yeah, it's been a great year. Hopefully it continues into 2022.
Well, absolutely. And I'm glad that you're as excited as all of Canada is, because this is going to be a tremendous tournament. And to be honest with you, last year you talked about names like Cole Caulfield and Spencer Knight and Trevor Zegras. And frankly, going into the tournament, I don't think the Canadians really knew who they were. Coming out of the tournament, they absolutely knew who they were, because they were such big reasons why the USA won gold. But I'm wondering if you could compare this year's roster to last year's American roster. Similarities, differences. What do you see?
they're completely different. Last year's team had a lot of shooters. You knew where the offense was coming from, and you knew that they would be reliable every game, that there wasn't going to be a question of where the goals were coming from. And then the defense was a little shaky, which is why a lot of people didn't think that they had the potential to go all the way and win the gold medal, even though they had stellar goaltending. This year, it's very much the opposite. The defense is the strength of Team USA, and the offense is going to have to be provided by committee. There are definitely some strengths in terms of returning players or players with experience. And it's not that this roster is wholly without scoring ability. They just don't have that go-to guy like Trevor Zegras or Cole Caulfield, who's really going to bring it every single game. If we want to talk about some guys that could do that, happy to do that. But the strength of this team is going to be team defense and relying on their shot blocking. That's one of the things that head coach Nate Lehman, who was, of course, the coach of last year's team as well, really stressed during their selection camp. It's the one thing that championships do that does not require any talent, and that's blocking shots.
Yeah, no kidding, but it's not everybody wants to do it. But, I'm glad you led into that. Who do you think are the next household names on this Team USA roster with the Zegrases and Caulfields gone? Who do you think it could be?
Well, I think it starts and probably ends with Matty Beniers. He is going to be a key component to Team USA's success, and that is on both ends of the ice. I feel like Matty has really evolved into an all-around player. He was really known for his defensive abilities, which is why a lot of teams were enamored with him at the NHL draft, and why Seattle is very excited to have him in their system. But at Michigan, he's been put in roles to succeed, and we saw glimmers of that at last year's World Juniors, in which he was really an offensive force and a supporting role in that effort. And so I think we're going to see him put in more primetime situations. He's still going to play on the PK. He's still going to be relied upon defensively, but he's going to drive that line. Alongside with him will be Brett Berard, who's also on last year's team. They were a key cog in that third line, which I always say you cannot win this tournament without a really strong third line. So while Nate Lehman will have to replace that line, having the opportunity to have those two players who, by the way, have been playing since they were kids. They played in the South Shore Kings together in Massachusetts. They played at the program together. They obviously don't play college together, as Brett's in Providence and Maddie's at Michigan. But they get the opportunity to reunite here. And I know Nate Lehman is going to be relying on that chemistry. So I expect Matty Beniers to be a little bit more of a household name than he was maybe before. And then I also feel, like I said, alongside with him, Brett Berard. And then it's still to be determined who's going to be with them on the other wing. But Matt Coronado is a guy that seems to be creating space for himself on that line. And if that clicks and he is a little bit more of a finisher, he could be a name that people recognize as well.
So it's interesting that you talk about the commitment to defense. I'm wondering why, i.e., you won USA 2-0 gold medal final last year. We've had the Hockey Canada people on this preview saying their team, their roster this year has got more fire in it, not as much finesse, I guess, a little grittier. Was there a decided shift to go to this roster makeup, Julie, or is it just because that was the players that were available this year for America?
Yeah, that's just the makeup of the team this year. It wasn't necessarily done by design. It's just this is the group that they had to choose from. That's what they've got. But I will say the defense will be led by Jake Sanderson. I anticipate he will be named captain of this team if he hasn't already at this point. But he is just, I've loved Jake Sanderson since he was at the U18s. And just the calm steadiness that he brings. He's able to skate out of any situation. He is really, really smart. He thinks the game, 2 or 3 steps ahead. can really anticipate what players are going to do offensively and can thwart their opportunities. And one of the things that I really like about him is that he's super calm under pressure. There is like no jitters in his game. Like he is just so confident in his abilities. And I feel the rest of the team feeds off of that, which is going to be really good for them on the back end. And then, of course, you have another returning player in Brock Faber. I anticipate that he'll play with Luke Hughes, kind of balance out his offensive capabilities and provide that defensive support for him. And then another guy is Tyler Clevin. He didn't play a lot of minutes last year. He will definitely be getting more minutes this year. And very similarly, he is just so strong defensively, really difficult to play against. And I think those three defensemen are really going to be charged with locking down any kind of offensive attack that the opposition could put forth.
Before we talk about the Canada-USA rivalry and how much fun it is, and by the way, I've really got ensconced in it as I'm in South Florida, Julie, so yeah, I'll just pick up on that in a minute. But the crease I see is different from Dustin Wolf and Spencer Knight last year. Can you talk about the goalies and who you expect will carry the flag for the USA this year? What do you know about the goalies?
Sure. I would anticipate that Drew Commesso would be the starting goaltender for Team USA, but I will say that Kaden Mbereko put together a heck of a performance during the selection camp. So I feel like Coach Lehman will give him some opportunities to see what he can do. But I definitely think this is Drew's team. And the interesting part is I feel that they're very different goalies. I feel like Drew is very poised and all about the angles, whereas Kaden is much more athletic. He moves a lot more in the crease. So the interesting part is it's an 0-2, an 0-3, and an 0-4 in goal for Team USA this year. So I feel like there's a lot of grooming happening here. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But I would be surprised if Drew Commesso doesn't get first crack at earning that starting position for Team USA.
John Van Beesbrook still in charge of Team USA?
Yes. He is their general manager.
So, right. So when it comes to goalies, we'll defer to the Bees, or clearly he knows what he's doing. But I'm telling you, I don't know what your circles were like last year with that USA-Canada final, but guys that played for Canada before, that live in the States, didn't leave their house for a week because they didn't want to see their friends. Tell me, you're smiling already. USA goes into this as the defending champion, so there was a lot of bragging rights there for America over the last year. Can you talk about your side of the rivalry from American perspective to Canada? It's been a good year for American hockey.
Well, here's the thing. There's always a rivalry, but I feel like that rivalry is with anybody. You know, one of the things that I know the returning American players are excited about is being able to potentially do it again in front of fans. And with international restrictions, it's largely going to be a Canadian audience. Not that it wasn't going to be, but like there's not going to be a lot of fans from Sweden or Russia or anything like that. So it's largely going to be a Canadian audience. And I know that they're excited about that. It's one of the things that they felt that they kind of missed out on in terms of last year's experience. So, you know, from a hockey perspective, the U.S. doesn't go into it thinking we have to beat Canada. The U.S. goes into it thinking we have to beat Sweden, we have to beat Russia, we have to win our group. We want to put ourselves in a good position in the quarterfinals. And so, I mean, much like was largely talked about last year with this oil can, they're just looking at the team that's right in front of them. And what do we need to do to beat this team? And one of the things that I thought was really interesting looking at the previous winners over the past, we'll say 10 years, it's Canada, it's the United States, it's also Finland. There is a lot of Finns who have won this tournament recently. So I think the Finns are often overlooked, mostly because they usually do it by committee. they don't always have Patrick Laine and Sebastian Aho leading the way like they did a couple years ago. So, it's always so fun, which is why this tournament is so much fun. Any team can win. It's really just a matter of, that day, that game, how things shake out. But that's why we watch the games, right? That's what makes it so much fun.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If you tell me that USA is not focused on Canada, then I'll believe you because I trust you. And I've known you a long time. But I know from a Canadian perspective, it used to be Canada-Russia. Now it's Canada-USA. And I'll just speak for the Canadians. They hate Team USA. And you brought up the 45-gallon oil drum from last year with a Canada picture on it. What do you remember about that? Because I'm still not sure that I'm satisfied with USA's explanation that, this had nothing to do with that Canada was a garbage. This is a thing that we did. You remember talking about that at the time? Are they going to do that again? Is this a standard USA thing every tournament or what?
I don't know that it's a standard USA thing, but every coach relies on some kind of motivational tactic. We've often heard about burn the boats, which is, I believe it's maybe like an Incan or a Mayan thing. I have to double check on that. But basically, these people were invading another country, and they said, when we get there, when we land, we're burning the boats because we either win and succeed or we die. That's it. And so, that's another one that a lot of coaches have used over the years. And Coach Lehman put out this story in the USA Hockey newsletter, which is definitely a thing. It has been a thing for, as far as I know, at least a decade, because it was a thing when I first started covering Team USA, which was about 12 years ago. So they put out this newsletter every day to kind of let the players know kind of what's going on, because they are in not only a physical bubble this year, but a mental bubble and really focusing on the tournament. So it kind of lets them know what's going on. And that was a thing. It was a motivational tactic. And in front of every game, they would put the flag of whatever country they were playing. And obviously for the gold medal game, that country was Canada. So the flag was on that blue oil barrel, which was essentially a water barrel. And it's unfortunate because so many rinks use those barrels as trash cans that people correlated it as a trash can instead of, what it was, which was an oil barrel that they were using to symbolize a water barrel. So, you guys can believe whatever you want. But that was the motivation that Team USA leaned on during that tournament. And as far as the rivalry, yes, the United States and Team USA would love to beat Canada. They would love to do it for a gold medal game, and they would certainly love to do it in front of a Canadian crowd. But I'm 100% sure they are not thinking about Team Canada right now because they don't even get to play Canada until potentially, the quarters, semis, or in a medal game. So they're looking at Sweden, they're looking at Russia. It's a very difficult group that they're in. They're going to have to beat those teams to put themselves in a good position into the quarterfinals. So they can worry about Canada, January 2nd. Until then, they're not focused on it.
I will just go back, burn the boats. Well, the Mayans were involved in the story. This came from the 1519 Spanish conquest of Mexico, when Hernan Cortez, the Spanish commander, scuttled his ships so that his men would have to conquer or die. So it was the Mayans. Yeah, they were part of the story, but they're the ones that went down. So that's where it came from. Thank you, Julie, for the history lesson. I had to Google it, but it was from Team Spain, of all teams. Well, Julie, enjoy the hockey. I always enjoy our visits. This went by far too fast. Merry Christmas, and maybe we'll catch up with that after the tournament.
Sounds great, guys. Merry Christmas to you, too.
Great job. Julie Robenhymer from Elite Prospects and NHL Radio. Our annual World Juniors preview continues right after this. You're watching on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, and of course, listen live at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep.
A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services, and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Addiction. It destroys relationships, families, and lives. It makes individuals and the people who love them feel powerless. But the good news is that addiction is a treatable illness. At Aurora Recovery Center, we provide everything you need to build a solid foundation for your recovery, with holistic, evidence-based treatment tailored to each individual. Located in Gimli, Manitoba, on the shores of Lake Winnipeg, Aurora can help regardless of whether or not you feel ready or have tried before. Aurora Recovery Center. Recovery for life. Visit aurorarecoverycenter.com for more information today.
Hey, Don.
Hey, Quinn.
We have a surprise for you.
Oh, my.
Hey, Rod Squad. Now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show. Official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
It is our World Junior Preview Special, and it's been fantastic already. Darren Moose Dupont, as we've heard from the GM of Hockey Canada, Alan Millar, and Julie Robenhymer from Elite Prospects, Team USA. I don't know. Do I want to go now and ask you for a gold medal prediction? Are we looking at Canada, USA again? How are you feeling? It could happen.
Well, it's funny. I was going back through these for our episodes that are going to air throughout next week. Our best of episodes. And I was listening to the interview with Paul Bissonnette, what you did back in January. And that's going to come up in our best of episodes. And it was so good. You guys spent most of that interview talking about the garbage can incident. Remember that? The water barrel? And
you remember it.
Talking about that gold medal game and him getting razzed by Witt and the other guys. I could see a repeat. I could see a repeat. Not a 2-0 loss, but I could see a Canada-USA gold medal game with us on top, of course.
That's funny you say, do I remember it? I mean, Julie Robenhymer just talked about it and how I don't know, man. Like, we got about a minute here, but we can talk about this coming back in the next hour of our preview special. But she's like, oh, no, there was nothing, no offense intended there. And no, USA doesn't get up for Canadian games. Not at all. No more than Sweden, no more than Finland, no more than Czechs. I'm like,
sure.
Come on. I mean, I love Julie. I've known her a long time. Met her at the 2012 World Juniors in Edmonton. But I mean, are you telling me this Canada-USA rivalry is one-sided? I want to know that the Americans hate Canada as much as we hate the Americans. That has to be a thing.
Yes, it has to. It has to. You know, especially the North American hockey power. We want, the USA wants to overtake Canada, and that's a big piece of pride for them. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, folks. Well, we are 1 hour down of our Christmas Eve World Juniors annual preview special here on the RP Show. Coming up next hour, more special guests. You know him, you love him. Peter Loubardias, Calgary Flames broadcaster, Hockey Canada aficionado, plus Michael Dyck, assistant coach for Hockey Canada. All coming up on the other side of this break. Stick with us here on Game Plus TV.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
I started the Chatler Lacrosse Academy 3 years ago, and my main goal for the province of Saskatchewan was to spread the game and the awareness of lacrosse. Jeff Shatler here, number 77 with the Saskatchewan Rush. I currently play forward, 16 years pro. I live, work, and play in the province of Saskatchewan. Direct West's mission is to grow Saskatchewan economy by helping small local businesses win with digital advertising services, but they are also a major supporter of local sport, art, and charitable organizations. Year after year, Direct West continues to put their money where their mouth is, and ensuring the minor sports and art and music festivals can continue to thrive in our province. They continue to do all they can to promote our communities and assist nonprofit charitable organizations in the effort to improve the quality of life in the province of Saskatchewan. I'm proud to work with Direct West and call the province of Saskatchewan my home.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG. Always delivering the best fan experience.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming of the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hello, Canada and hockey fans in the United States. It is hour 2 of the RP show, and it is our annual World Juniors preview special. Just happens to be on Christmas Eve. So lucky you and lucky us. And hour 2 of the program is brought to you as always by Great Western's Original 16 beer. Please enjoy responsibly, but please enjoy it around the Christmas tree when you are watching this year's World Juniors, which gets rolling on December the 26th, Canada versus the Czech Republic. As you see, Darren Moose DuPont joins us from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. I join you from South Florida, where me and my hockey friends will be watching all of the tournament on the NHL Network. Darren, you are really missing out in Canada not getting the NHL Network. Trust me, they carry all of the games. But mind you, having said that, as I say to my U.S. hockey friends, I said, we've got TSN in Canada, which basically is the NHL Network. But just listen, coming up this hour, we've got Peter Loubardias with us from Calgary. Well, he's Calgary Flames broadcaster. Everybody knows him. He doesn't need to be introduced. He is a Hockey Canada World Juniors aficionado, and Hockey Canada assistant coach Michael Dyck will join us, longtime friend of ours, former Regina Pats defenseman, current head coach of the Vancouver Giants, and assistant coach on World Juniors. That's coming up this hour. Just want to recap, Darren, last hour, Alan Millar joining us, the director of player personnel for Hockey Canada, and Julie Robenhymer, who covers Team USA for EliteProspects.com and NHL Radio. They had some interesting things to say, and I want your take on this. Alan Millar saying that this is a fiery, more gritty Canadian roster than last year, what we saw in Edmonton. I'm going to put that to Loubardias and how he feels about that. He's seen them through the camps in Calgary and in Banff. How about you? Did we need that as a country? Did we need more fire and scrappiness?
Well, I love it. And we talked about it last hour. I loved, those Canadian teams. That's what made me fall in love with them in the World Juniors growing up, was there was always that energy line, always that fire, that passion. It started all the way back with guys like that I remember, and I mentioned last hour, Scotty Upshaw, Jordan Tutu, Steve Downey. These are guys that stood up and were almost the identity of Team Canada. They weren't scoring all the goals, but they got the crowd into it. They got you fired up, and they changed momentum in hockey games. And I think Canada missed that a little bit when they went down 1-0, and especially when they went down 2-0 early in the second period. In the gold medal game, they missed a little bit of that tide-turning energy and that feistiness to try and scratch and claw back into games. So if that's the case with this group, that's exciting.
One theme that we're hearing a lot of from our guests on the program today is the infusion of crowds into the proceedings. It was last year, played in the bubble in Edmonton, and they got through it. Touch wood. This year, touch wood, there will be crowds, and that will change things significantly. Let's look at some of the featured players here. The guys have some graphics on them. I mean, let's start with Conor Bernard. Alan Millar brought him up first, not me. Let's have a look at him, guys. I don't know what else there is to say about him at 16 years of age. I think they said there's only been 6 16-year-olds play for Team Canada at the World Juniors, and it's a wonderful list, Darren. Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Eric Lindros, Jason Spezza. There have been more. But listen, you've called enough games with Conor Bernard, seen him play enough. Pressure doesn't seem to get to him. As a matter of fact, he rises to the occasion. So there you go. There's a look at Conor Bernard with his stats, his hometown, he in the most beautiful jersey in hockey, having a look at that. So there's Conor. I mean, what do we expect from him? He was the player of the tournament last year at the World Under-18s, is an underage. He was a point-a-game guy there. And Darren, he seems to be the kind of player that gets better when there's better competition around him. I think that's going to be the case for one Conor Bernard.
That is the case, and he will get better for sure with the players around him, no doubt. The one thing to consider with Conor Bernard is, we've talked to Hockey Canada and we've heard from Hockey Canada. He's going to start as the extra forward, the 13th forward, or at least that's the sound of it. So don't expect him to come in and contribute right away because it's just not going to happen. But you know what? He's going to have to be patient. They've said this. He's going to earn his way up. He's going to get some time, and in his limited minutes, he's going to make an impact. And then he's going to get more playing time. And he's a guy, now I don't want to just say this is going to happen, but he could find his way into Canada's top line. He's going to play in the power play, I'm sure of it. You just won't be able to ignore his play. And if Canada needs an extra punch, he'll definitely provide it.
Let's roll quickly through some of the other featured players. Well, Shane Wright, let's go with him. He's 17 years of age. He did not make Team Canada last year at 16, but he's an exceptional player out of the Ontario Hockey League. I know the guys are digging for it. No, here he is from the Kingston Frontenac. Oh, it's Jordan. Okay. Just him flying the Millennium Falcon. I don't know what our expectations are for Shane Wright other than he's a tremendous player. We'll talk with Peter Loubardias about him because Peter is also a draft expert. I'm just excited to see him play, Darren, because we don't live in Ontario in the OHL. We've never really seen Shane Wright play before other than those international competitions. He might be the player that I want to watch the most.
Yeah, no, for sure, because we're used to watching Conor Bernard, and we're all excited about that. But Shane Wright will be fun to watch because he's an elite player. He's got a great release. He's a little bit more mature. I think he'll adjust a little bit faster to this level of play. I'm really excited to see Shane Wright play.
Okay, if we can go to Team Russia. By the way, just so you know, I'm getting rained on here in South Florida on Christmas Eve. So if you notice me jump out of my chair or skedaddle and scoot, that's why. I know, pray for me and feel sorry for me.
All right.
Team Russia. Matei Mishkov is, what are they calling him? The Russian Conor Bedard. They're not eligible, neither one of them, until the 2023 draft. But this is why scouts love tournaments like this, these international competitions. You're probably going to hear a lot of, over the holidays, the term best on best. These guys went head-to-head at the World Under-18s last year and were pretty even, as I recall, at the tournament in Texas. Do you not think, and I'm sure you do, that this will tell the tale or go a long way as to who gets drafted higher in 2023 between these two?
Well, they're talking about them as the next Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby, Mishkov and Conor Bernard. Now, I pulled up this scouting report because I want to get this right on this Mishkov kid because he's 17 right now. It says Mishkov brings every offensive tool you could ever want to the table, a wicked wrister, elusiveness, and vision. That was from EP Ringside. They also say from draft, and this is a Europe scouting report, becomes quicker around the net. He can make quick turns down low and then drive to the net and display his quick hands in tight traffic. So expect Mishkov to be an impact player who gets better with the bigger games, just like Conor Bernard. So I'm really excited. And hopefully we see Canada-US at some point in this tournament. Or Canada-Russia, I mean.
Well, Canada-US, I think, will be the final. But maybe, boy, wouldn't Canada-Russia be something? Bedard versus Mishkov. That could be the story of the tournament. By the way, this is a Canadian program. We're wearing our Canadian colors, even though it is airing in America in 31 states. So maybe we'll talk about Team USA in a minute. We kind of did last hour with Julie Robenhymer from Elite Prospects. So I feel like we covered that. But there are a couple players that I really want to see on this Canadian roster, and Owen Power is another one. I will get the graphic up here from Jordan on that. Number 1 overall pick in the NHL draft last year, Owen Power, plays at the University of Michigan. And I say plays because he went back there this year, Darren, despite being drafted number 1 overall by the Buffalo Sabres. They're saying he's the next Victor Hedman, the Tampa Bay Lightning star. We got to look at Owen Power last year at the World Hockey Championships, which is tremendous competition. But I would think he's already gone number 1 overall. What are our expectations of Owen Power other than just to help Canada to a gold medal finish this year? That's my expectation of Owen Power. He's got no draft status to raise.
Right. Caden Gooley's going to be there as a leader on the back end, too, in the Western Hockey League from the Edmonton Oil Kings. But Owen Power is a player who I'm expecting to step up and become a leader. I really think he'll log a lot of minutes. I think he'll be, a real anchor on that back end with a guy like Gooley. I think the back end's pretty good. But I expect Owen Power to step in and play a big role, a leadership role, log a ton of minutes, and be a name we hear a lot of in terms of Canada's roster here at the World Juniors.
Well, for sure. He wasn't on the Canadian team last year in Edmonton, and we didn't get to see him in Canada because he played at Michigan. And yes, TSN does air those NCAA games from time to time, but it's not the same. The guys have done a lot of work on these graphics, so let's keep it rolling with Sebastian Kosa. I want to say Kosa. We'll see what Peter Loubardias calls him as the starting goaltender of the Edmonton Oil Kings. I've heard it. You and I have called the games this year for Edmonton. I was saying Casa. I was saying Kosa. What I know is he's 6'7" and a first-round pick of the Detroit Red Wings, and one of three goaltenders going into this tournament, along with Dylan Garand, who is an incumbent, and Brett Brochu, who was cut last year. Just a guy overall, Darren, that I'm looking forward to watching, and I would suspect will start in the opener against the Czech Republic.
926 save percentage you saw on the graphic. I mean, he's been really good in Edmonton. I mean, he's playing in a really good team. But it tells me, look, he's put up these numbers in front of a good team. He's going to have a good team with Canada as well at the World Juniors. He's going to be familiar playing in Edmonton. So I think that, we don't know who's going to end up being the number one goaltender. We don't. Could be any of the three. Brochu, could be Guerin, could be Kosa. But I think, no, he's got every opportunity to earn this job, and he could be the number one guy come the early part of January.
Well, I honestly feel, and good work to our staff, this is the best World Junior preview we've done yet. I don't know how you feel about it, but with Julie Robenhymer last hour, she talked about who some of the household names might be in this year's World Juniors for Team USA, because I'm going to be honest with you. Last year, I didn't really know who Trevor Zegras was going into the tournament. I didn't really know who Cole Caulfield was, and I thought Dustin Wolf should be starting in goal for Team USA, but lo and behold, it was Spencer Knight, who not only led the Americans to the gold medal, but now is, playing 50-50 with the Florida Panthers down here, and I watch him almost every night. And Julie talked about some of the household names this year. Matty Beniers, I guess, leads the way for Team USA. We've got a few of those graphics too, but do you know a whole lot about Team USA? There he is, Matty Beniers, coming into the tournament. Maybe you can talk more about him than me, other than we know that he plays for the Wolverines. I don't know. I know that's your football team, but do you know much about the hockey team down there in Michigan?
I know, right? We know they're an elite hockey team. We know that. We've seen it. Having all those guys drafted in the top 10 of the NHL draft, the top 5 of the National Hockey League draft. Matty Beniers is another good one. I mean, he was a Seattle Kraken Wright first-round pick, I believe, and checking out the graphic, yeah, I think that's right. He's going to have to be relied on as a leader up front. Obviously, Trevor Zegras was so good last year with Canada or with the USA, but he's going to play a big role. The US is going to be dangerous. And here's another name. We're going to hear about some other guys too that are going to step up and be the next Trevor Zegras. Okay. But Matty Beniers is a familiar name that we know, and we expect big things out of him.
And Jake Sanderson, the other. Again, a lot of you not old enough to recall his dad, but I obviously do. Jeff Sanderson, Geoff Sanderson, former Hartford Whaler. Yeah, that's what I remind. That's Hartford Whaler. That's what I think of with Jeff Sanderson. But his kid, Jake, hell of a player. Whitefish, Montana is his hometown, and he plays at UND. And usually, if you're coming out of UND, Darren, you're pretty good. And that you can be Canadian or American to be coming out of that school. So do you think these are players designated that will become household names? I guess that's why we watch the tournament, right?
That's exactly why we watch the tournament, and Jake Sanderson's another, player that is going to have an opportunity to become that household name. Yeah, he was drafted in the first round by Ottawa, but he's, a bigger defenseman. At least he plays big, moves the puck well. North Dakota is a really good NCAA program. So the U.S. is full of these capable players. High draft picks now, year after year. We used to be Canada that had all the high draft picks, but now the U.S. Is touting a roster full of first-round picks. And that's what's fun about this is they've really stepped up, and it's not just Canada against the world. It's almost neck and neck. Canada, U.S., Russia, Sweden, they're all really dangerous.
Just a couple minutes left here, Darren, in this opening segment of Hour 2. I will remind you that it is brought to you by Great Western's Original 16 beer. We talked about enjoying that to watch the World Juniors. Why not pick up some taco time as well with over 120 locations in Canada? Canadians love to support and eat local. Go loco, eat local at Taco Time. I just can't get my mind around what Julie Robenhymer said last hour about how the USA does not put Canada in its crosshairs. And listen, she's around that team a lot. She said she was at the World Under-18s. She was at the, the Bean Pot tournament. She's at the Final Four. She's around USA hockey all the time. I think she was and she talked about that oil drum thing too, by the way, with Canada last year and how there was no offense intended. Do you think, and by the way, Julie can say what she wants. Canada hates the USA. Let's just put it out there.
I think so. How can you not? It's your rival, right? It's much the same with Russia. I mean, if you want to talk about it's just another game, we're just trying to go out there and focus, worried about ourselves. We're talking about games against Germany and the Czech Republic and Switzerland and Denmark. We're not talking about games against the powerhouses in hockey, right? I mean, the Czech Republic overall is a very good hockey nation. So I don't want to, and they're all, starting to develop their own identity, but we're talking Sweden, Finland, Russia, Canada, USA. They're all powerhouses. Those are your rivals. You don't like them. You want to beat those teams. And especially Canada, who, it calls this our game. That would make me hate them if I was, in the United States.
I guess that's the difference between me and everybody else. If I don't like you, I'll just tell you I don't like you, or you'll know that I don't like you. And I guess that's not for everybody. And Julie is saying, oh, no, Team USA doesn't have a problem with Canada. Yeah, we'll see once we drop the puck. And I'm very much looking forward to this tournament and watching it, as I mentioned, on the NHL Network from down here in South Florida. Darren, we'll see you back a little later on in the program. When we come back, we'll be joined by Peter Loubardias, Hockey Canada analyst, and a little later on, Team Canada assistant coach Michael Dyck, the head coach of the Vancouver Giants. You're watching our annual World Juniors preview on Christmas Eve on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, and 24/7 sports radio at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Big time. Big time.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital Ford Lincoln.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep. A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services, and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming. The Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It is our World Junior Preview Special. We've done it 3 years in a row now, every year that we've been on the air on Game Plus Television and, of course, YouTube Live, and we're working our way towards the big Boxing Day clash, Canada versus the Czech Republic. Peter Loubardias has been on every one of our previews, and why not make it 3 in a row as we welcome the longtime Calgary Flames broadcaster and, if I may, Hockey Canada aficionado. Lou, happy holidays and welcome back. And is it truly, like Andy Williams sings for you, the most wonderful time of the year?
This year, Roddy, if our friend COVID allows it, it's going to be the most special World Junior ever, because for the first time ever, my 15-year-old son has caught the World Junior bug. And if, God willing, it's meant to be, his dad will probably be in a puddle on December 26th in a couple of days, enjoying Canada and the Czech Republic with my son. So, yeah, it's a special. I love it. There's probably my favorite event annually on planet Earth. There's no bones about that. And now maybe a chance to share it with my son. Just something, my son's on the spectrum. I didn't necessarily think he'd ever get the bug, but he doesn't even know what he's in for next if the bug really continues.
Did he even have a chance, Lou? I would suggest that he did not, as your son.
No.
But that reminds me, well, what?
No, he had a chance. I mean, listen, he forgot more about NASCAR than most people will ever know. And my old description of NASCAR was put a penny in a toilet and flush. So, the one thing I will tell you, Rod, is this. There are a few similar things between my son and I, and that is when he's in, he's all in. And I didn't necessarily know that he would ever get to this point, but I'm not disappointed that he is.
Unfair of me to say he didn't have a chance being your son because, yes, you allow him to make his own choices. And I've watched those Instagram lives, by the way. The NASCAR stuff is highly entertaining, but you guys also did your Instagram live post-game shows last year during the World Juniors, and I loved it with little Lubo. So we got Alan Millar on, the director of player personnel on this show, talking about the Hockey Canada roster and how it's got more fire and more grit than last year's team that lost 2-0 in the gold medal final against the USA. Did you see some of the camp sessions, Lou, in Calgary, or could you attest to what Al's saying is true?
Yeah, I've seen a lot, Roddy, and certainly for these purposes, we'll have attended pre-tournament games as well. In the camp in Calgary, and I went to Banff, there's no doubt, especially up front, I like the different elements of this team. They're bigger, they're stronger. If indeed they play Neighbors, Greg, and Justin Sordiff, the Western Hockey League line together, that's a nasty, no fun group to play against. They've got excellent skill. They've got Mason McTavish. They have, including Neighbors. They have players who have already played 9 games in the NHL. In Owen Power and Caden Gooley, 2 absolute studs on the back end. I like all 3 goalies. We'll see how that sorts itself out. I like most teams, Rod. This team is different than last year's. I thought from top to bottom it was, incredibly skilled. I'm not sure it's as deep on defense as last year, but its top end is arguably better than last year. So this is a good team, and this is going to be a team that's not going to be a whole lot of fun to play against.
I'm not sure if you see that there, but that is the roster put up. But it's in alphabetical order, not lines 1 through 4. But it's just interesting that Conor Bernard is listed top line left wing. Of course, he's never played left wing in his life. That came out from Hockey Canada. But what did you think? Had you seen Conor live before the camps?
I did. I finally got to see him in person when the Pats rolled in for a morning game against the Calgary Hitmen. And I certainly wasn't judging him there. Rod, my judgment on Conor Bedard was made in May and late April at the World Under-18 when he did marvelous things. 14 points en route to a gold medal. He had 10 of those 14 points in the 3 playoff games. It's as a double underage in the tournament. You know, you guys know everything there is to know. You've watched him a million more times than I do. But, you know, whether it was that tournament or even what he did in the first pre-tournament situation, as in the first camp game against U Sports, where he was in on every goal and scored 2 of them. This young man just has an absolute flair, it would appear, for the big stage. Now, how it turns out this time, I wouldn't bet against him. And I wouldn't bet against him because there's a lot of great players. And I've watched a lot of great players over the years. And I don't think I compare him to McDavid or, you know, some of the others maybe that have come along, Crosby. But this guy's got something about him that you can't really put a finger on. And it's really important. So will I be surprised if he scores a big goal or 2 along the way? Not for a second. In fact, I'm probably expecting that to be the possibility, but understanding that even in camp, Rod, to be 16 on this team is not easy. We know how rarely it has occurred in our country. From a defensive standpoint and an ability to check elite level people, you know, Connor, like every other 16-year-old, even Connor McDavid at 16-year-old, has got work to do. But his hands in tight spaces, it's silly. It's silly what he can do.
Oh, he's so fun to watch. I thank God.
Yeah,
I do, literally, for having the ability to have watched him live in these formative years in junior hockey. But, you know, Lou, Shane Wright didn't even play for Team Canada at 16. No. And he's not getting as much pub as Connor, but that's because it's us. You know, we're not talking about him as much. What have you seen out of Shane Wright, the top prospect for this year's draft of the Kingston Frontenac?
I think the only thing that Shane needed was to relax. I think he put so much pressure on himself. Rod, not only last year in Red Deer at the camp, but even when I watched him in the summer camp in August, he looked, and I talked to a couple people at Hockey Canada, and they said to me that, you know, with this guy, maybe just whisper in his ear before camp even starts that he's going to be on the team. And that's kind of how it played itself out because, you know, the 8 or 9 locks to make the team, they didn't even play in the 2 games against U Sport. So he wasn't part of the group. But, you know, his smarts, his savvy, there's comparisons for me, and I don't like to compare, but, you know, there's some Ryan O'Reilly there. There's some Patrice Bergeron. He's highly competitive. He's a terrific kid. He's a great leader. And I think last year, well, the team was really, really talented. And he didn't find his way. He'll find his way. And I won't be surprised if he ends up being Canada's best center in this event at 17. And that's not easy to do.
You mentioned Owen Power and Caden Gooley. If there is a hockey god or a hockey baby Jesus, they'll play together. Have they been together? Those guys are pretty big studs. No?
I think you're going to see them together. In fact, when you get to the medal round, depending on how things go prior to that, it's a nice little friendly piece to have in your pocket to roll those 2 guys out. But Rod, I don't think they're really in a situation early in the tournament where they need to. And I don't want to take anything away from the other guys, the other 6 guys who made the team. But those are elite people at the top end of the defensive core. I have really liked a couple of other guys to this point, starting with Olin Zellweger an 18-year-old who was great at the World Under-18, a member of the Everett Silvertips, who looks like he may start the tournament on a pairing with Owen Power, and Lucas Cormier, a Vegas pick. Looks like he'll be paired with Caden Gooley. But, to have those two guys to potentially even be on a power play, maybe more importantly, kill penalties, but they're different players. You're going to see Power very likely, Rod, quarterback the first power play. And on the other side of the equation, you're going to see Caden Gooley on the ice in every difficult defensive situation, including a first defensive pairing penalty killer. We get talking all the time about offense and people who produce, but I'm going to tell you, with all my experience and all I've watched, there's a couple of things always, and I'm sorry for repeating it on even this show. There's the difference between winning and losing at the World Junior, and your ability to check elite level people is the difference. Go back to the gold medal game last year. The Americans played a marvelous game. They kept our top people in check, and we had a harder time dealing with Zegras and some of their top people. So, it's great to have those two guys to help anchor that group.
Well, it was very clear that Zegras and Caulfield were NHL players playing last year, but Owen Power and Caden Gooley pretty much are too. And I guess that's what makes the tournament so fun. By the way, the other night at the Panthers game, I can't remember if it was the Ottawa game here or the Blues, but they recognized Justin Sordiff of the Vancouver Giants making Team Canada, which I thought was interesting. And a big whoop went up from the crowd. So believe me, Lou, they're watching very closely here in Florida, believe it or not, on the NHL network. Any thoughts on the goalies? There was no competition there. They named the three: Brett Brochu, Dylan Garand, and Sebastian Cossa. There was no competition there. The competition is to see who starts on Boxing Day. That's it. How do they look?
They're good. I think they're different. Cossa, the first round pick of Detroit, 6'7", 210 pounds. Very athletic, highly competitive. Was great in the game, at least the first game against U Sports. His numbers with the Edmonton Oil Kings are off the charts. He has everything in a goalie you would want. The only minor concern, Rod, I would have about Sebastian is he is so fiery at times that, you can't let your emotions get to you and even have a bad period in this tournament, because it can cost you a gold medal. Garand of Kamloops, fabulous numbers, steady, technically sound, was around last year, played in just one game, and he has been really good. And then kind of, the dark horse, if you will, is 5'11", Brett Brochu of the London Knights. And frankly, Brett reminds me a lot of Canada's star goalie last year who came out of nowhere, and that was Devin Levi, who was brilliant and the tournament's top goalie. He's athletic, never gives up, highly competitive. So it's going to be interesting come Boxing Day afternoon to see who gets the nod. I think they might be leaning Cossa to begin, but, don't be surprised if it changes as the tournament goes along either. I know I won't be surprised.
Gents, how are we doing on time? We got a few minutes left here? Because obviously Lou and I could go on forever on this. I just got to ask you, watching Canada in that rink in Banff, was it one of the greatest experiences of your life, Lou? I've watched many a Pats practice there. Maybe you have too. We used to have respites there, like 2-3 day breaks on the way out to the West Coast trip. It must have been amazing.
I love this game so much, and I love it at so many different levels. Rod, not quite. The practice I saw in Banff, I stood right at the glass, and I was just utterly amazed by the speed, the size, the skill, because where I watch most of the games from. Game looks pretty easy from 100 feet in the air. I've never ceased to amaze at how good these young people are at their age, how competitive, how little space there is, how big and strong. a treat. It's not the greatest hockey practice I've ever seen, because the greatest hockey practice I've ever seen was in Gimli, Manitoba. It was minus 110, I swear, that day, or close to. And it was the 2005 group. And Brent Sutter, as the coach, put them through 45 minutes of nothing but 1-on-1, 2-on-2, and 3-on-3 battle drills with Crosby and Phaneuf and Carter and Getzlaff and, Seabrook and Shea Weber and go on down the line. And that, to this day, is the greatest 45-minute hockey practice. Corey Perry, watching that incredible group go at one another. And I remember I was with Ken Wiebe of Winnipeg, my dear friend who works at Sportsnet. And I said, hey, boys, take it easy. We need somebody left for Grand Fourth. But this one this year took me back a little bit to that particular time.
I'm ashamed. I've just had to Google who Canada's goalie was on the greatest World Junior team ever, 2005. Who was the target? Lou, do you remember?
Oh, of course I remember. Jeff Glass.
I'm sorry. Why do I? It was, eh? Okay.
Jeff Glass, and the backup was Réjean Beauchemin.
Réjean Beauchemin. Right.
Yeah. 2 Western League goalies, which wasn't always the case for many years, if you remember, during a certain stretch of time. And the reason no one remembers the goalies is because of the sheer and utter dominance of the group. But I don't know if you've ever had a chance, Rod, in your travels to spend any time with Jeff or Réjean. There's probably a chance that you've done that. But 2 incredibly fine people. And I got goosebumps just thinking about, 2005 again and seeing it all unfold right from the camp, right through every single minute. That's one of those ones you treasure, because as we came to find out, that was a generational team, and a generational team that supplied a lot of 2 consecutive gold medals in best-on-best competitions at the Olympics. So there's another pretty good guy that I didn't mention in that group. He plays for Boston. His name is Bergeron. You may have heard of him. And sometimes people forget, because Crosby got a lot of the billing in his second year at 17. Patrice led that tournament in scoring with 13 points and was absolutely brilliant. And at that point, became the first Canadian, to my knowledge, to have won a World Men's Championship before he had a chance to win the World Junior. At this tournament, 2 guys have a chance to do the same thing, and Owen Power and Cole Perfetti, the Winnipeg Jets' top prospect.
For sure. Well, listen, Jeff Glass and Réjean Beauchemin, I'm sure, are great people, but as far as Team Canada goalies, not in the pantheon of Carey Price.
No.
Right? Even Marc-Andre Fleury. Shoot, Stéphane Facette. But anyways, Lou, this is why we bring you on. Right. Yeah, we could go on and on. Lou, always a pleasure, my man.
Junior week-long special.
How about
Can you imagine? That would be fantastic. Lou, thanks. Merry Christmas. You're a good man. You're a good man. More important than a tremendous broadcaster, a better man. Appreciate it, and enjoy the tourney.
Right back at you, pal. Be well. Merry Christmas.
It's our World Junior Preview. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, or you're listening live at rodpeterson.com.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Peterson Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop staffed by PGA of Canada professionals is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
I started the Chatler Lacrosse Academy 3 years ago, and my main goal for the province of Saskatchewan was to spread the game and the awareness of lacrosse. Jeff Shatler here, number 77 with the Saskatchewan Rush. I currently play forward, 16 years pro. I live, work, and play in the province of Saskatchewan. Direct West's mission is to grow Saskatchewan economy by helping small local businesses win with digital advertising services, but they are also a major supporter of local sport, art, and charitable organizations. Year after year, Direct West continues to put their money where their mouth is and ensuring the minor sports and art and music festivals can continue to thrive in our province. They continue to do all they can to promote our communities and assist nonprofit charitable organizations in the effort to improve the quality of life in the province of Saskatchewan. I am proud to work with Direct West and call the province of Saskatchewan my home.
In the heat of the summer, familiar sounds, feeling the air, it's the best thing anywhere. Just give me back my game. 'Cause I live for the drama, I live for the emotion. No one can take me down, bring me back my football.
BetRegal.net, exclusive sports gaming partner of the CFL.
Prairie Mobile is your SaskTel authorized dealer. Whether you're looking for talk, text, or data, shared, unlimited, or business plans, Prairie Mobile will help you find the SaskTel wireless plan that's right for you. Visit us online at prairiemobile.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back to our World Junior Preview show here on Christmas Eve. Darren DuPont with you here. And now, pleased to be joined by Assistant Coach Hockey Canada, Team Canada, Michael Dyck, who is in the hotel in Banff. How's Banff treating you, Michael? And happy holidays.
Thank you. Yeah, well, Banff's beautiful. Winter wonderland here. So it's been great. We had a couple of practices and we're able to enjoy being outside, and obviously, very nice accommodations here. In the last couple of days, we're finishing up a 48-hour quarantine as per IHF regulations, and looking forward to getting out and getting back at it.
What will the weekend be like for you, the Christmas weekend, as you guys get set for Boxing Day, amidst quarantines and what we're dealing with right now? What will Christmas for Team Canada look like?
Well, I think it's leading up to Christmas. Obviously, we've got 3 big games, 3 exhibition games, which will give us a real good gauge to see where we're at, and some things that we need to potentially work on for December 26th. Obviously, the 24th and the 25th, there's going to be a lot of time spent together because we can't spend it with our families. We're looking forward to spending Christmas together, and then the focal point will be on getting the tournament ready to go on the 26th.
What's this experience like for you as a coach, being part of Team Canada? And we all grow up wanting to be part of this, and it's such a staple of our holiday traditions. What's it like for you on the inside as a coach on this team?
Oh, it's such a privilege. I feel so fortunate to be involved. And especially my second year now, and better feel for what's coming. But we have a really good, exceptional staff, and that seems to be commonplace. Anything I've done with Hockey Canada, the World Championships, the World Juniors, or under 18s, you're always surrounded by really good people, and able to lean on those people and learn a lot. And obviously the players are fantastic, an elite group, and lots of fun to work with. So it's a really, really good experience.
We want to talk about some of the makeup of this group, and a lot of talk, especially that we've had, has been about the two young phenoms, right? Shane Wright and Conor Bernard, and how much fun it is to coach those two players, and kind of the expectations you can have on players that are so young that have an opportunity to maybe play key roles.
And both of those guys, as young as they are, I think are mature beyond their years, and that I think that's what allows them to play in a tournament like this, which is for the most part a 19-year-old tournament. So when you've got 16 and 17-year-olds playing in your lineup, even though you're younger guys, they're very mature as far as their level of preparation goes, as far as their interaction with their teammates and their coaches, and so they're a pleasure to coach. You can see why they're elite players at their age, and a lot of it has to do with their mental makeup, not only their level of skill, obviously, but their mental makeup and how they approach the game and how hard they work at their craft.
And on the back end, I mean, we're all really familiar with Caden Gooley. You're very familiar with him in the Western Hockey League too, but a guy that we didn't see last year at this tournament was Owen Power, first overall pick by the Buffalo Sabres. What's he brought to this group, and how does he fit in on that really talented back end?
Well, even though he didn't play at the World Junior level, he played at the World Championships, and so for him to get that experience as a younger guy and play with men and play against men and guys that play in the National Hockey League, obviously that's really where he emerged, and I think his draft status grew enormously. But just watching him last year, in key moments, he's got a lot of poise and a lot of composure. Not only is he a big guy, he covers a lot of ice. He's got a great stick, moves extremely well for a big man. Just his level of composure and his poise in key situations, as far as moving the puck or making plays when you need him made, I think is what differentiates himself.
And I, got to ask you about your guy too, in Justin Sordiff, who gets an opportunity to play with Team Canada too. How much fun is that going to be? A little familiarity on the roster for you.
Yeah. Well, he's had such a good year. Even last year in the bubble, where he was probably the best player in that BC division, and then through the summer, I think really emerged with Hockey Canada as far as how well he played in the selection camp and then the start of the year. So he's earned this. It's great to be able to go through an experience like this with somebody who, obviously have had Sort since he was 16 years old. So it's exciting. And again, it'll do nothing but, bolster his experience, which will help us with the Vancouver Giants and certainly with his career moving forward as a pro.
We always wondered about that too, especially when Millar was with Moose Jaw. We wondered about, okay, how's he going to treat like a Conor Bedard coming in? Because that's the arch rival. How do you treat, guys from around the Western League, but the BC division, right? You got, not how do you treat them, but, Logan Stankoven, Dylan Garand, you got some really high-end guys. Is that fun? And what's their first interaction like when you got players on the team that you're used to, looking across from?
Well, it is. And obviously, no Dylan from the under 18s and in the World Junior last year. For me, this is the first time meeting Logan Stankoven, and the comments. It's certainly nicer having you on my bench as opposed to the opposition bench. Both obviously very good hockey players, but you have a lot of fun talking about your rivalry with the Blazers, and yet when you come here, it's we're all wearing the Maple Leafs, so it's pretty exciting to be able to work with those guys.
It's awesome, and we're really looking forward to it, Michael. I know you'll enjoy the experience, so we appreciate you carving out a little time here over the holidays for us.
No problem. Great to talk to you.
You bet. Happy holidays to you and Team Canada, and Michael Dyck, assistant coach for Team Canada, as they get set to start the World Junior Hockey Championships. Right now, the interview taking place in Banff, but they'll get set to head to Edmonton and open on Boxing Day.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC. Unwrap a completely customized vehicle ordering experience. Reserve a pre-ordered unit that's already on its way. Or get into a GM certified pre-owned vehicle that's on the lot and ready to roll. And don't forget, we pay big for your used vehicle, even if you don't buy from us. Plus, our service department is your winter headquarters. Get special pricing on name brand tires, storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. This holiday season, wish your way at Capital GMC.
In the heat of the summer, familiar sounds. Feeling the air, it's the best thing anywhere. Just give me back my game. 'Cause I live for the drama, I live for the emotion. No one can take me down. Bring me back my football.
BetRegal.net, exclusive sports gaming partner of the CFL.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445 or log on to deervalleygolf.ca.
A Landmark Cinemas $30 gift card with $40 in great movie savings is the perfect gift to give. Or give to yourself. Get yours today in theater or online at landmarkcinemas.com and make it a merry movie season. Landmark Cinemas, for movie lovers.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
All right, everybody, it is overtime. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of overtime in the World Juniors. It's brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home for the UFC, the NHL, and can I say, the World Junior Hockey Championship. And I think this has been our best preview, Moose, that we've done. It's our third one we've done of the RP show. Peter Loubardias, Alan Millar, Julie Robenhymer, and Mike Dyck. And I think it's time for some predictions. And do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? What do you got for a gold medal final prediction?
Oh, I'm going to say, I'm going with the rematch. I said before, I think it will be Canada over the U.S. by a 2-0 score. Canada 2, USA 0 in the gold medal game.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to be pulling for that through the entire tournament. So I'd like to go with something separate from you, but that's what I want so bad at Canada. And plus, I'm sitting here watching the tournament from the United States with my hockey friends. It's going to be a lot of fun. There will be some wagering on the line. and all the rest of it. So that's the favorite part. Let me just say this. You don't care for the tournament being in Canada. I love it being in Canada or North America because of the sane start times. But remember, we had this discussion last year. You would prefer to have it overseas. I just never quite figured that one out.
You know what? I like it in Canada. I do, but I don't like 7 o'clock starts. For me, as a kid, World Juniors is 7 a.m., 10 a.m., 4 a.m. I love that. I love games on during the daytime. That's why I kind of am partial to watching the other teams play at the World Juniors because they play during the afternoon, which I kind of like. So for me, I like that a little bit more. But you know what? I'm into it no matter what.
Wonderful job by our crew. Yourself, Moose, of course, director Jordan, producer Clark, of lining up these interviews. Jordan for smacking it all together. And our friends from Hockey Canada, the media, and Team USA. Enjoy the hockey, everybody. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you next week when we're well into this World Junior Tournament.
McFly, hello.